Hello, everybody, and welcome to Mondays with Marley, where we come live to you every Monday morning at 12:30 p.m. I guess that's afternoon. Every Monday afternoon, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That is 11 o'clock if you are Central, and then 10 o'clock if you're Mountain, 9 o'clock if you are Pacific. Welcome. I'm your Crafty bestie, Marley Bird, and here we love to craft, chat, and connect with one another around knitting and crochet, and sometimes some books and events that coordinate with all of that. So it is lovely to see a lot of my friends here today. Hi, Stephanie and Dawn and Karen and Nikki and Cindy and Red Hooked and Cheryl and Julia and Stacy. Oh my gosh, so many of you here. So I'm just going to say hello from very, very chilly Indiana. It's a lovely, beautiful blue color outside today, but it is so cold. It is like unbelievably cold, especially because of all the humidity here. It just makes things really chilly. So in the last week, since we have talked, so much has happened, both for me and the world in general. It is unbelievable. And when I talk about the world, I'm talking about the crafting world. Joann Fabric has declared bankruptcy yet again. This is something that Lindsay and I had spoke about quite a bit during our 24 days with Marley Bird and Friends. If you recall, I went to Joann Fabric and I discussed how it was absolutely trashed when I was there, and we just had a long discussion about it. Well, this last week, Joann's declared Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and according to some Reddit forums and leaked letters that were sent out to employees, if they don't get a buyer by middle of March timeframe, people are going to start losing their jobs and stuff. And it looks like they're looking for a buyer to liquidate their business. So gosh, that makes a lot of changes. So rather than dedicating any sort of time for this podcast for that, if you are part of the Marley Bird page over on Facebook, you'll notice that I put out a question if you guys wanted to do like a Marley Bird town hall, because a lot of you have asked me, Joann going away, what does that mean for me? What does that mean for you? Where should you get yarn? So on and so forth. So my plan is this week to have a town hall meeting where we can all come together and have just a frank discussion. I'm going to do it in the nighttime. I'll let you guys know when it is, but I'm going to do it in the evening, knowing that a lot of us work during the middle of the day. And we're just going to get together and chat. Just not that I know anything more than all of you know, but I just want to have a good discussion about all of that. So yeah, it's pretty crazy how that has happened. But on top of that, Lindsay and I also released our Buy Crafty Bestie Box Volume 2. Now, so far, 2 of the boxes have sold out. So the only one left right now is the aromatherapy, which ironically is the sock that I liked making the most. So these are the 2 sock patterns that you would get with the aromatherapy Buy Crafty Bestie Box. This is the knit version. It is done using mosaic stitches, a heel flap construction, and basic toe. And then this is the crochet version. It has a nice little texture. I'm pretty sure this is an afterthought heel, and then just awesome construction. And both of these are done top down. Now with these Buy Crafty Bestie boxes, you do get both of these patterns. You also get your very own dedicated exclusive Erin Lane bag, sock bag. All of the fabrics of these sock bags were exclusively designed for the Buy Crafty Bestie boxes. And then inside, you also receive 3 balls of yarn. So you will get 2 balls of your main color and 1 ball of your contrasting color. This is more than enough yarn to make a pair of socks, whether you decide to make them a little bit longer, a little bit shorter, whatever you want to do. You have more than enough yarn to make 2 pairs of socks. Or a pair of socks, to make 2 socks, a pair of socks, your choice, knitting or crochet. So all of that, plus you get a really cute, is it in here? There it is. A cute keychain, which matches the fabric of the sock bag. And then all of the instructions, including the videos for both of these patterns, are going to be added to your Marley Bird house. at the end of February, Robin and I are going to be doing a sock make along. And this is a paid for make along. So it is not one that we typically do for free. It will be a paid for make along. And if you purchase the By Crafty Bestie box, you already have the sock patterns that we will be using. Now we will have a total of 6 sock patterns. You only have 2 that come with your box. Each of the boxes has their own sock pattern. Each one has a different pattern. But if you wanted to purchase the additional patterns after the fact, you absolutely can do that. And those will also be in the Marley Birdhouse. So all of that is to say, you guys say it's out of focus. I'm sorry, you're just telling me that it's out of focus. I'm like, what's going on? Hopefully we'll be all right. I don't know. You guys need to tell me. So all of that is to say the By Crafty Bestie box, there are very few boxes left in the aromatherapy collection. And I mean, honestly, I would love to sell all of these out. We purchased all of the yarn and the fabric and the bags and everything ahead of time. So if we could sell out of all of these, that would be fantastic. This is a pre-order. They do ship in the middle of February. So you will have them in time for the make along. All right. All right. So that is the By Crafty box. What else has happened around here? I'm trying to think. There have just been a lot of things happening. I do want to say that so far, the podcast has been a huge hit. You guys are loving the podcast. You're sharing the podcast links to other people and having them join in. I'm so grateful. Whether you are watching us on YouTube or you have subscribed to the RSS feed or you are listening through Apple Podcasts, we love to have you here. Welcome, welcome. Just remember, any of the links or information that we provide during the show, we do add to the video description box or the podcast description box. If we add stuff willy-nilly throughout the show, I do go back and add those links after the fact. So they are all added and you will be able to find those. Last but not least, don't forget, you can always join the Marley's Minions Facebook group and ask questions there, get questions answered there, answer other people's questions, and just have a lovely community that you can be a part of. All right, guys. So many of you here. It's so nice. It's so nice. Okay, so I have a wonderful guest today. It's one of our first podcasts with a guest, and Jessica is somebody that Lindsay and I met as we were doing the 24 Days of Quickies, and we just fell in love with her work. I have followed her since then. She does some wonderful knit design, and she is one of those lovely designers that puts together these really fantastic summits. And one of them is happening this week. And I want her to come on here and tell you all about it, because you guys know I'm always trying to help you become a better knitter or a better crocheter. And these opportunities to watch these summits, whether you participate with them in the free version or you purchase the content so that way you have access to it after the fact, they are so valuable. And I'm only ever going to bring you information from summits and collections and events that I truly believe in. You guys know I'm not somebody who is there to poo-poo on somebody's parade. And I'm not somebody who's just going to just be like, oh, look at this. This is really bad. Like, that's just not who I am. So whenever I bring you anything, I want you to trust in the fact that I put my name behind it as well. And that holds true for the Knit Happy Summit. So let's welcome Jessica to the stage. So here we go. I added her. Did it not add? There she is. Hello.
Hey, Marley. Hey, Marley's friends. And I see some of my friends too. And I'm just so honored and thrilled to be here and to be on Marley's new podcast. And it's just been so much fun watching these last 2 weeks as she's, finding her groove, finding her rhythm and all of that. And it's just wonderful to watch her brain at work.
Thank you. It's fun to have somebody on here to talk to, because as you're going through things and I'm just talking to a screen, right? Talking into a microphone. But it's nice to be able to bounce a conversation off of somebody, and especially when that somebody is you, because you have put together an amazing event, which I know is not for the faint of heart. Like, putting together any sort of event, is really, it's not easy, but I want you to walk us through what is the Knit Happy Summit. What can people expect from it? Like how does it all work? So I'm gonna share the screen and kind of let you take it away if that works.
Absolutely, that's perfect.
All right, let's see here. There we go. And I'll mute myself.
Okay, I'm going to drop in the chat a nice, I know you have a link in the description, knithappysummit.com/Marley will get you there. Comment, maybe it doesn't let links post in the comments. I don't know. Anyway, it's down in the description. It's knithappysummit.com/Marley, and that will let me give Marley a little thank you for sending you my way. Yes, thank you. Oh, I don't know if that link will work with the question mark. I don't know if that one tracks or not. It's in the YouTube description. Let me see if I can send it this way in the private chat to you, Marley, and then you can copy it over. So it is a 4-day event. It starts, I can type without making typos. knithappysummit.com.
I had copied the original link from the page that we're showing. That's where it came
from. Oh, okay. I think that should work. Perfect. So we have some friends already registered. There we go. So it's knithappysummit.com/Marley. And that brings you to this registration page that Marley has up on the screen. So it's a 4-day event. It starts this Thursday, January 23rd. And there are over 25 speakers that I have gathered together. And my goal with the summit is that I wanted to take all of these experts in their craft. So it's knitwear designers, it's fiber artists, all kinds of people in the industry, and gather them together and give them an opportunity to share those tips and those tricks and those things that we have learned over all of our years of knitting, and kind of cut through all of like the fluff and the noise and the backstory and give you like the heart of it, the meat of what would help you to make progress in your knitting. And it's pretty broad as far as topics go. It's everything from learning new techniques like mosaic. We can do mosaic. Sorry, that's in the bonuses, but lace knitting and cable knitting and brioche and double knitting in the round. And then we also dive into more things like that are really good no matter where you are in your knitting journey, like learning to estimate how much yarn you're going to need for a project, learning how to substitute yarn in a pattern when that yarn is no longer available, it's discontinued, or it's not available where you live, or it is at a different price point than what you want to spend on that project. So it covers all of that stuff, how to actually read a pattern, how to get gauge for real when you make that sweater and it doesn't fit, that you've spent, hours or weeks or months on that project. So we want to get you through all of that. We're also covering Fair Isle knitting from someone who actually lives. Did you know? Tell me in the chat. Fair Isle is a real place. It's a little island off the coast of, I think, Scotland, and it's a real actual place. We also have Dawn from Twice Your Cheap, who I think is one of Marley's friends too. We're learning how to read charts. We're learning how to knit cables without a cable needle. We're learning about sock knitting, everything from creating your own custom vanilla sock recipe to customizing the toes for the shape of your actual toes, to reinforcing the sole of your sock so that it doesn't wear out so quickly. Just kind of everything you can imagine. Fearless sweater making, adding bust darts to garments if you need some extra room up, for the girls. That kind of thing. Using 2 yarns to use up your stash. And we're also doing some mindfulness, some intentional knitting, talking about how to bring more mindfulness to your knitting. We also have someone who is a certified yoga teacher. She's doing yoga for knitters. She has a whole meditation for us and stretches for our hands, because when you knit for many, many hours, like many of us do, that could definitely come in handy for you all. So you get access to all of that for free, 48 hours. There'll be groups of presentations each day of the summit. And so anything that is released Thursday, you'll get to watch all the way through Saturday. It starts 9 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. That's in New York. On Thursday, you'll get till Saturday to watch that first group, the second batch of presentations from Friday morning till Sunday, and so on. There are upgrades for the summit if that 48 hours feels too short, or you feel like you want to be able to go back to the material to get a refresher, a reminder to rescue you when you are stuck. So maybe you conquer that project with the double knitting, and then you finish it, and now a year later you want to come back and you want a refresher because you want to do it again. So there are upgrade options which give you ongoing access to the presentations, bonuses from the speakers, private knit nights with the VIPs, and I'm taking part of the funds that are raised through this event and donating to a wonderful organization that I learned about through Laura Nelkin, hosts something each year called the Knit for Food Knit-a-thon in spring. I think it's in April. I'm taking a portion of that, donating to World Central Kitchen, who goes around the world wherever there's a disaster and helps out, providing good, actually like great meals created by chefs. There's a documentary on, I think I watched it yesterday on Disney Plus. It might also be on one of the other streaming channels, maybe like Hulu, called We Feed People. That was directed by Ron Howard. So it was really interesting to watch everything that they do. They're on the ground now in California, helping with the people that have lost everything to, the fires, things that totally out of their control. This is just, natural disaster kind of stuff. And I think they're still in the North Carolina, East Tennessee area, helping people there. They were supposed to leave, I think, in December, and extended their stay there to make sure that that they were able to help the people. So my advice to you is to sign up to join us for free. But I'm going to say, don't sign up while you are waiting on the carpool line or while you are waiting at the supermarket or the bank, because after you sign up for free, you'll be brought to this page. This has all of the information about the upgrades, and you'll have 30 minutes to make a decision to get the best price. It will be available throughout, but you'll get 30 minutes to get the best price, and you can have either the extended access pass, trying to make it as financially accessible for everyone as I can. So there's a lower ticket, lower offer, which is just the extended access to the presentations. And you also get a printable, like light bulb moments is what I'm calling it, like the key takeaways. And there's also a VIP option that gets you over $580 in bonuses from our speakers. Things like workshops, pattern bundles, guides, ebooks, all kinds of wonderful goodies.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
It's chock full of so much information.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. If you guys are not watching on YouTube and you're listening to this through the audio, I've been scrolling through the sales page for this Knit Happy Summit. And I don't know if all of you in the live have been paying attention. Did you see the who's who of designers and like presenters? Like that's pretty amazing. Holy moly. I love this. I love that you give a chance. So as she mentioned, the reason she's like, don't do it while you're in a carpool line or anything like that is because as you sign up for free, as she mentioned, you get 30 minutes for a chance to sign up for this upgrade, and it's at a discounted price. And there's an entire list of items that you could get, whether you sign up for the extended access pass, if you want it beyond the free, or the VIP pass, and you want time to be able to read through it all and make a conscientious decision if that's something you want to upgrade to at a discount. We all love discounts, right? We always love discounts. So it's just, this is great. VIP package worth over $588. I would say it's worth more than that. Like how many of you were at VKL Live this last weekend and took a class there, and how expensive classes are there? Like this is cheaper than a class there, a class, and you don't get to take any of that information home.
Right.
Like,
that's the thing I love about the online teaching that you do, that I do, because you can refer back to it.
Yes.
You take a class in person and you retain what you retain, and you can't call Marley up at 3 a.m. and say, I'm having trouble with this pattern. Can you help me? You can post in her group and she might be awake, but probably not. And, she'll get to it when she can.
So I'm wondering, so if somebody purchases the VIP, do you have something that is similar to the Marley Birdhouse that they would get the information? How would it work for them to get all the VIP access?
So after you sign up, if you purchase the VIP package or the extended access pass, you'll get a login to, I think we use the same platform, Member Vault.
Yeah, Member Vault. Yeah.
So if you're familiar with,
awesome.
If you're familiar, I'm migrating my stuff over there because I fell in love with it and it was just so easy to use.
It's so easy and it's very cost effective, and I really like it. So if you guys don't know, like Marley Birdhouse, I'm going to say the hosting program is Member Vault. So that's where her stuff is. She just doesn't call it Marley Birdhouse because obvious reasons.
I think I'd be hearing from your lawyers.
I know, right?
But the technology that it's built on and the way that it functions is the same. So if you're comfortable in the Marley Birdhouse, you'll be comfortable in my classroom.
Fantastic.
And it is, so you'll have access to a classroom. If you sign up for either of the upgrades, you'll get access to all the presentations starting on Thursday morning. So you don't have to wait for day 3 to watch the stuff from day 3. You can start watching and watch whatever you want at whatever your pace, your schedule, all of that. So you don't have to worry about that. If you get the VIP, which is the higher tier, there's bonuses already in there now that you can start claiming, and more. I keep adding more as I test the links.
Okay, we love bonuses. We love bonuses. This is like really great information, but I know that there might be people who are just like, okay, I want to know a little bit more. It says right here that they can email you knithappysummit@gmail.com, and that she will try and get back to you within 1 to 2 business days. But the price as it stands right now, after this 30 minutes after I just signed up, then does it go to full price? And then during the summit, are they still able to purchase the VIP if they're like, you know what, this is really good, I do want to get that?
So there are 2 more price options that will come. After the 30 minutes, the price goes up by $10. So instead of $47 for the extended access pass and $67 for the VIP, it'll go up to $57 and $77. Trying to do the math in my head. And that will be until Thursday morning when the summit starts. So you can still get that early bird price until Thursday morning. And then after the summit starts and everyone has seen how fantastic all the presentations are, then it goes up to what I call like a last call, last chance price. And that will go up to, I think it is $77 and $97.
Awesome.
So if you get the action takers price, you're saving $30 over the full price that it will be, and it will be available to purchase through the end of January.
Fantastic. Oh, this is so great. Like, okay, so there are people in the chat right now who are talking about how wonderful last year's summit was. Was last year your first summit?
Last year was my first summit as a host, yes.
That is so great.
It is much easier this time around.
Okay.
First time you do, set up the back end of anything is always a challenge.
It's literally why I haven't done it. I'm like, I just don't know. Like, I might have to pick your brain and be like, okay, how do you do this? Like, I would love to learn more about your Stitch Society membership and stuff, like, because I haven't done any of that, but maybe that's something I should jump into. I don't know. Who knows? So many worlds that we can jump into. I love it. Oh, that's cute. Carrie, first pancake. Yes. Ones after that are always a little bit easier for sure. So there's a lot of people in the chat mentioning that they're excited. The people who have signed up already to do this. Some people who are excited about the people presenting, which I absolutely agree with. As we were looking through that list, I was like, holy crap, like these are some good people. So it's very exciting that you were able to collaborate with so many wonderful individuals in this industry, which I love that. I'm all about collaborating and really lifting each other up because I feel like that is the most important thing. And it's something that a lot of industries lack, but it's something I think this industry is so good at. And so I applaud you for doing that because it's just fantastic. And I'm excited for this for you. I think this is great.
Thank you. Maybe you'll come, maybe you'll learn something. We're talking about learning how to dye your own yarn in canning jars in your kitchen.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
That sounds like
we're learning how to also have someone doing a DIY, a do-it-yourself spindle, drop spindle.
Ooh.
So, and she sells spinning wheels and all of that. So if you want to dive deeper into that rabbit hole of fiber arts and go beyond just knitting and crocheting, I have some presentations for you there. I really tried to create something that supported kind of the whole knitter and where there was something for you to do no matter where you are in your, knitting or crocheting journey. So you can learn to dye yarn or spin yarn even if you're a crocheter. You don't need to be a knitter to do that.
Absolutely.
Those are, by crafty activities.
Yes, they are. Oh, this is so great. All right, everybody. So if you want to be a part of the Knit Happy Summit, please go to knithappysummit.com/Marley and sign up for free and have fun. Have fun, you guys. All right, Jessica, good luck with all of it. I can't wait to hear how it turns out. I'm
staying for your tutorial because I also crochet. So
yes.
I don't design a lot of it, but I'm staying for your tutorial. I'll be watching.
Oh boy. Now the pressure is on. The pressure is on. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Oh my gosh, so much fun. Such a delightful individual. I haven't had a chance to meet her in person, but every time I get on the phone with her, or not on the phone, but when we talk like this, I'm just like, she's just really fantastic. So I don't know if you guys know much about this, but putting something like this on behind the scenes, all of that behind the scenes work that we just scrolled through, talked about, organizing, putting everything together, getting it inside the member vault, that is so much work, which you might be thinking to yourself, then why is she doing it for free? Well, obviously, we like to provide it for free, right? And then you're just like, if you really like it, it's like, okay, let's come spend your money with us. We would like to provide you all the extra stuff. And then that's where we actually make our income. So it's like, we're like, hey, here's a taste. If you like it, come and be a part of this. And it is a ton of work. And she has done an excellent job doing it. So you will not be disappointed if you do participate in the Knit Happy Summit, you guys. All right. So we are coming up to the 30-minute mark of the podcast. And this is where I am going to introduce a brand new sponsor to the podcast. So a lot of you have recognized that I have talked quite a bit about Hirschners, and I have been working behind the scenes with Hirschners on a variety of things. And when they found out we were doing Mondays with Marley, they were like, we would love to be a part of that. So Hirschners is coming in, and a couple times a month, they are going to sponsor the Lunch and Learn segment. So this is my introduction to all of you to visit Hirschners.com. I'm going to give you my affiliate link if you'll give me just a minute, so that way they do know I sent you. And they have a plethora of yarns available, both their own brand yarn and Lion brand yarn, Premier yarn, Yarnspirations yarns, like some really wonderful yarn companies out there. But I will tell you, the yarns that are their own, I'm really enjoying working with them. I'm going to work with one of them today during the podcast, or during the demonstration. But Hirschners, they have been around for more than 125 years, supplying your yarn, cross stitch, fabric needs all online. So it is an online store for you to go and be a part of. They have a wonderful Facebook community that they're building up. They have a store there in Wisconsin. If you're ever local there and you want to go and check it all out, it's wonderful. I actually went there recently to have a meeting with them to introduce myself and to meet them. And because, like I said, it's really important to me that I talk about companies that I know and trust and want to work with and want to tell you guys about. And so I really wanted to get to meet them and find out how they work, who they are, and get a sense of if it's a good collaboration between the two of us. And I walked away so incredibly happy with meeting them all. Such a delightful team, a small team. In a weird turn of events, I've worked with them through Universal Yarns in the past. So it was really interesting to be like, Oh, Mary, like I know your name. We've talked before like 12 years ago. And so it was just very interesting. All of that is to say Hirschner's is now the sponsor of this particular Lunch and Learn today for the Creekside Ruana. And I'm excited to introduce all of you to them. So I just put a link to Hirschner's inside of the live here, but here's a special thing. They gave me a free shipping code to share with all of you. So if you go to the link that I'm going to put it into the video description box as well right now, I'm saving it. If you go to that link, it's my affiliate link, so it lets them know I sent you. And if you use the free shipping code BIRDY, BIRDY 25, BIRDY 25, you will get free shipping on your order from Hirschner's. So hopefully you guys will take advantage of that and use that up because they are wonderful. They are wonderful. We did get to use them quite a bit during Turkey Trot this year. That was like our first little foray into seeing if they liked providing yarn for the event. They thought it was so fantastic that there were so many knitters and crocheters because they work with a lot of crocheters, right? Because a lot of crocheters buy their yarn. And so bringing in knitters to their yarn is really important. So I'm excited to be able to do that. All right. I'm going to take a drink of water real quick. So can take a breather. Okay. We are going to now jump into a lunch and learn for the Crochet Creekside Ruana Cardigan. Now, this is a free pattern over at marleybird.com, and it's recently been made free. It was not free before. Let me go to marleybird.com. And it used to be that this was only a paid for pattern. And I just lost my train of thought completely because that's where I am. It used to be that this was only a paid for pattern, but I recently made it available on the website. So if you go to the blog right here, you can see the comfy and convenient. This is the Creekside Ruana. This was a complimentary pattern to the 2020 Turkey Trot Make Along, which is where we made pocket shawls. If you guys remember, we made this pocket shawl and it was a lot of fun to make the pocket shawl, but I wanted a Ruana that really mimicked the Ruana that the knitters made, which is just beautiful. I love it. So that is how the Creekside Crochet Ruana came to be. It is made using Peyton's Classic Wool. It is a beautiful oversized piece that I wear quite often. It's incredibly warm. It's not hard to make, and it will keep your interest going with all of the different stitches that you will learn. But as I mentioned, it is free here on the website. You will have to sign up for Grow to view the pattern, or you could always upgrade to the ad-free PDF, which is available on Etsy, Shopify, or Ravelry. So choose your poison, essentially. And you can upgrade the pattern. So that way you get the ad-free pattern, which looks just like this. So this here is the full PDF. The PDF includes stitch diagrams, links to videos, all the written instructions, a couple of pictures. Like, I don't overload you with pictures because I don't want you to have to print out a bunch of pictures. But hopefully it makes for a more seamless and enjoyable crocheting experience. And whenever you purchase a pattern from a designer, you guys, you are supporting that designer, and it allows us to continue to do what we do. At the same time, as you are on the free pattern on the website, you'll know that there are ads. Those ads actually pay for the free pattern that we are offering you. So I will get comments every now and again that'll say, oh my gosh, there's a lot of ads. I don't get to place the ads. I actually tell my ad company how often I want the ads. Like, I want to say it's like 15% density or 20% density. I don't really remember, but that's essentially how they place them in there. But I just don't want you to be like, oh, she puts an ad every other sentence. That's not what I do at all. But the pattern on the website that is free does include ads, but you can always copy and paste if that's what you want to do, if that's where your income can afford what you're doing. I totally understand, and I want to make sure that that is available to you. All right, having said all of that, let me go ahead and let's see. Switch down here. So You guys can still hear me, right? I want to make sure my sound is still on. If you can give me a thumbs up and let me know that you can still hear me, that would be awesome. All right, I see a couple thumbs up. All right, what I've done here is I have pulled out the Hirschner's worsted 8. This is part of the Heather's colorway, the Heather's yarn. I have loved working with this. During the Jolly Holiday, I made a lovely crocheted stocking out of this, and I loved working with it so much. It is a premium acrylic yarn. This yarn itself, the Hirschner's worsted yarn, is their staple yarn, just as like Super Saver is the staple to Red Heart, okay? Or I can't even think of another one. This is a very, very nice yarn. It is incredibly nice and soft, delightful to work with, delightful to wear. I've really enjoyed working with this, and this is available over at Hirschner's. You can get worsted 8, which comes in 8-ounce balls. I think they have worsted 3, which come in 3-ounce balls, and a worsted 12, which comes in 12-ounce balls. So depending on what you're going to make, you can get larger or smaller balls of yarn. But it's the same colors, same yarn. It's just different weights, and it's really wonderful to work with. Now, as I mentioned, for this piece, I did use the Peyton's Classic Wool, and that was because I wanted a true wool yarn to really get the bite of the yarn for this project. But you 100% could use an acrylic yarn to make this piece and get a very nice, lovely look and wonderful stitch definition. So I'm trying to get this to focus on us. You can see here, this is a swatch that I have worked up of the Creekside Ruana, and you get some lovely, nice stitch definition. The stitches are meant to be nice and tight. They aren't meant to be really big and spread out like on the pocket shawl. They're meant to be condensed down, so that way you don't look like you are wearing a lace project. Okay, so that's where this is. Now, let's talk about this project, because you will notice that I have you start off with pockets. Now, why do I have you start off with pockets? Well, mainly because it's a great chance for you to just get started playing with the yarn and messing around with the stitches to learn how it all works up. Sorry, I'm trying to get through. I really hate autofocus. Can I just tell you guys? Like, I hate it. That's why I usually just do the focusing all on my own, because I think autofocus just bites. I don't think it ever focuses exactly where I want it to focus. And I'm looking for, this is what I'm looking for, the special stitches. So what I want you to notice here about special stitches, how do I see? Let's go like this. So things that you want to make sure that you know how to do when you tackle this pattern. Obviously, the chain stitch, the single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet. What you might not know how to do is a shallow front post half double crochet. Don't get too like distraught. Be like, oh my gosh, that's really it's really not. It's just a matter of where you place your hook. Instead of working around the post, you're working around the two legs of the top of the stitch. And I'll show you what that means. It's not hard to do. If you can do a half double crochet and you kind of know how a post stitch works, this is not hard to do. Stacked double crochet. If you have followed along with me at all, you know that that is essentially just 2 single crochets, one on top of the other. And I call it a stacked double crochet instead of a stacked single because the resulting stitch is a double crochet. You could put 3 single crochets on top of each other, and I would call that a stacked treble because the resulting stitch is a treble. I say that out loud because I have designer friends who absolutely refuse to call it a stacked double. They always call it a stacked single because they're like, you're stacking singles. But to me, that's a misnomer because you want to say what the resulting stitch is. That's the way I understand it, right? That's the way I think it should be. So a stacked double crochet, it just makes it so that you can start the beginning of your row without chains. It's so that way you start off with like a double crochet stitch. An X stitch back and an X stitch front. It's just a matter of doing double crochets out of order and you create a really cool X stitch. Clearly a treble crochet, right side and wrong side. So there's nothing really super duper in depth here that you might not know how to do. And so I think this is something you absolutely could tackle if you're a confident beginner, not somebody who has just picked up a hook, but if you've made a couple things and you're like, okay, I know what a majority of those are and I understand the construction of a crochet stitch, I think I could tackle those. I think you absolutely could jump in with this. Having said that, down here in the special stitches, you'll see that I do have an explanation of what a stacked double crochet is. I do talk about what a shallow front post half double crochet is, the X stitch back, X stitch front, and the linked double crochet. And this is the one I really want to pay attention to because the only time you use the linked double crochet is for the pocket. Now, the reason I chose a linked double crochet for the pocket is because I wanted those stitches to be rather solid. So here is the sample itself. You can see on the outside, I did what is I call an invisible pocket. See how the pocket looks like it just blends right into the fabric? Very similar to what we just did with the turkey trot, right, this year. Why is everything's like this weird color, like pink? That's weird, right? Like, what is happening? My hands are not that red. I don't know what's going on. But inside here, this is the pocket. And I wanted the fabric back here to be nice and solid. So that is why I chose to use linked double crochets. And these are very similar to like a Tunisian style where each stitch next to each other, it's linked to each other in the manner that you make these stitches. What I want you to understand though is if this is something you don't know how to do, you don't like to do these, you don't want to do these, you're just like, I just want to do double crochets, you absolutely could do that. You don't have to do linked double crochets if you don't want to. You absolutely could do regular double crochets. Okay, so this is where we're going to start off. Let's start off doing a couple linked double crochets so that you know how they work. Okay, so having said that, let me push this aside. And I'm going to just bring in some yarn. Here we go. And I am using a size I or a 5.5 millimeter hook right here. And the pockets actually have you begin with a chain 32. Now, I don't think we need to do a chain 32. So we're going to chain like 12. Okay. So 1, 2, 3. All right. We're going to try and get this to focus in on us. Let's focus. Come on now. Give me something here. There we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So let's read through the special stitches so that way I am following along with the written instructions that you have available to you. It says insert your hook in the second chain from hook. So not this chain. You never count the loop on your hook. We know that, right? So not this one, but the second one. Insert your hook into the second chain from hook. Yarn over and pull up a loop. Insert your hook into the third chain from hook. So we're going to go to the next chain over, insert your hook, and pull up a loop. So I have 3 loops on my hook. I will yarn over and draw through 2 loops on the hook twice. So draw through 2 once, yarn over, draw through 2 twice. Okay. Now that is my first linked double crochet. Now I insert the hook into the horizontal bar, sliding hook from the top to the bottom of the stitch, not to the back of the stitch. So here's the horizontal bar right there. Can you see it? Okay. So I'm going to put my hook through the horizontal bar. And then I'm going to, yarn over and pull up a loop. Yarn over and pull up a loop. And then it says, insert your hook into the next chain, yarn over and pull up a loop. So I go to the next chain over, which can get a little tricky. So you want to make sure you're paying attention. See, that's that chain. So I'm going to go to the next chain over, yarn over and pull up a loop. So I have 3 loops on my hook. Now we're going to yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over and draw through 2. That is a linked double crochet that has happened. So what I've done is I've made my second double crochet, and by working through that horizontal bar of the first one, I've linked them together. So let's do this again. So unlike other double crochets, I don't start with the yarn over on my hook. Going through this horizontal bar essentially puts a yarn over on my hook on a way, right? So I yarn over and pull up. There's my yarn over. Go into the next chain, yarn over, pull up. There's my 3, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. You see how they're rather solid? There's not any space between them. Let's do it again. Go through the horizontal bar, yarn over, pull up a loop. Go to the next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop. yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. Okay? And you would just continue doing this all the way down. Yarn over, pull up, into the next, yarn over, pull up, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. You guys see that? That is a linked double crochet. And you would continue doing this until your pocket measures about 7 inches. All right. So if you just wanted to do double crochets, right, you would yarn over to begin with and just do doubles. I'm going to do some doubles here so that way you can see what the look is, how it differs. So we're just going to do some doubles. And for these, you can see these, there's a lot of space between those, right? They're not joined together. Whereas over here, look at that. Like those are linked together. So it definitely gives you more of a solid backing, which is great for a pocket. At least I think so. All right. So you would continue working this, right? You continue working these linked double crochets and you would keep doing that till your pocket is about 7 inches. After you've done that, that's when you move on and you work the panel. So there are 2 panels. I'm going to scooch out again. There's the front panel and the back panel of this. Where is the schematic? Da-da-da. I know it's here. Okay. So you have your schematic here. So we have 2 front panels. And then your back panel is all of this together, right? So you're just like, oh, that's not too hard, right? Essentially, you're just making an opening right down the center of a piece. So you're going to make each one of these panels first. And I recommend doing that first because then you can make sure you're ending on the correct row. You're ending on the why is it not focusing? You're ending on the correct row on both of them so that it's easy to continue on and get everything put together. But this is where your pockets will go, and you will do that invisible pocket like I mentioned. And then once both of your panels are done, that's when you move on and you work the entire back. Now I'm going to pull in the sample here real quick so you can see how this goes. And it's important you understand the construction of this because it might be something you've never done before, right? So where is the front? I had it inside out so I could show you the pocket. So as I set this up here, I'm going to pull this up. It all goes pink again. Let me pull this out some more maybe. I don't know why it's going pink. That's so strange. All right. So the bottom part here is the ribbing. This is done after the fact. This is all added after everything is done. So you start down here with the ribbing for the panel. And then you can notice that each of these sections, this is your repeat essentially. So you start off with this lovely line that this is your shallow front post half double crochet, and that's what pushes the top of the stitch out to the right side, and it gives you this really nice lovely like knit look here. Can you see this? And so everything done between here and here, this is a repeat. And then you can see it's done right here. So it's something that you can begin to memorize because once you get through one, you're like, okay, that's pretty good. And then you get to the second one, you're like, okay, now I really understand it. And then by the time you're here, you're cruising, right? So you keep going. It gives you full instructions on how you're going to leave an opening for your pocket and add your pocket in. So it looks like it just blends right into the fabric. Okay. And then you continue on and you work all the way up till you get to the top. And if you notice up here at the top, so we have our ending right here, right? And on the opposite side, this is the middle. You have your ending over here. So then as you continue on, this is your sleeve edge. You work all the way across one panel, across the middle, join the other panel, and now you're working one big panel along the back. Does that make sense? One big panel along the back. And you start with the fronts because I really wanted these stitches to look like they're right side up on the front. And then on the back, it's not that they look bad. They look just fine. But that's why I wanted it to be worked that way. But all of that is to explain why you have to make 2 panels. And it also, if you're like, you get the 2 panels done, and you're like, you know what? I don't want a Ruana. If you want to turn this into a pocket shawl, you could do that. You could just seam the 2 halves together and give yourself a pocket shawl. Does that make sense? Okay. So with the Ruana, everybody with me so far? You guys all got really quiet. So I want to make sure you're with me here. All right, so we talked about, so you have your pockets. You're going to work your link double crochets until your pocket is 7 inches. And now you go to your panels, and you're going to make 2 of these, like I mentioned. And you start off with some ribbing. Now the ribbing, it's going to be a multiple of 4 plus 2. All right, so we have 74 and 78. So it's 4 plus 2. And the reason is because we're going to have an edge stitch and then a front post. And then it's 2 back, 2 front, 2 back, 2 front, 2 back, 2 front, 2 back, 2 front, so on and so forth. And you'll end with a front and then your edge. All right, so that's why you need it's a multiple of 4 plus 2. Okay, everybody with me on that? You start this off with a row of single crochets, and you immediately jump into your front post half double crochet so that you can get that nice little raised sort of knit looking stitch that we talked about before. I hate when this goes out of focus. I might have to take it out of that completely. You make the ribbing portion for the amount of times listed on the pattern. And I will show you how to start off with this, don't worry. But then once you get past the ribbing portion, you're then going to jump into the body. And what you'll notice is there are 2 sizes, okay? Because this is very, very oversized. It's meant to be very, very oversized. And I had somebody back at the time, they were like, where did you get these measurements? What did you choose? I actually went to Target and I purchased their Ruana that they had. They had it in 2 sizes. And I took those measurements. So I'm using measurements based off of general off the rack measurements. And they're meant to be oversized. These are not meant to be a tight fitting cardigan. Like this isn't a cardigan. This is a pullover shell. But even this, this is smaller than the Ruana. The Ruana is really supposed to be big. Okay. So I just want to make that very, very clear. So there are 2 sizes, and we have to adjust our stitch counts from the ribbing to a different stitch count for the larger size. So that way the stitch pattern up here works. Okay. I just want to mention that out. So it'll walk you through how you're going to do that. And then you're going to jump into the stitch pattern. And what you will notice is on row 3, the stitch pattern changes again as far as your count. It's because, again, to make row 4 work, we have to change the stitch count on row 3. All right. So there is a little bit of changing when you're working on this Ruana, meaning if you're doing the smaller size, you don't always only have 74 stitches. There are points in time where you'll have 73, and then you'll get back up to 74 once these two parts of the pattern are done. When you get to row 6, you will end up putting an extra stitch in, and you get to 74, and then we're back to where we started again. I think all of that is very important, so that way you understand how this works, okay? Because if you are not familiar with stitch counts changing in the middle of a stitch pattern, that can be really confusing. All right. As you keep going, just because I want to make sure you guys know, it tells you how many times to work through the repeat. Then it gives you the instructions for how to add the pocket. And then it talks about going on, and then you have the back panel, and it talks you how to join those. All right. But honestly, I truly feel like if you understand the stitch pattern for the body, once you get past the ribbing bit, you'll know how this pattern works out pretty well. So you guys ready? You want to do a little bit of that together? I'm going to leave that right here up there. Let's bring this in. I'm going to undo this. Actually, I'll just cut this off. We're going to use the purple here. And I am going to do a multiple of 4 plus 2, just like I mentioned before. All right, it's just so that we can get the ribbing, so you can understand how the ribbing works. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1 and 2. And then, so that's the number of stitches, but now I need the turning chain. So here is 1 stitch for my turning chain. And now I'm going to do single crochets across, which should be my count of 4 plus 2. All right. So, I shouldn't say, yeah, it's 4 plus 2, but 1. So I'm in the second chain from hook. I just did a single crochet, and I'm going to do a single crochet in each chain all the way to the end. And I think I'm going to get 14, right? Is that how many I did? As I was just counting out loud, I wasn't really paying attention. It becomes a little tricky to teach and do things at the same time and talk and do all the stuff. You guys are with me here. You understand how that works. Thank you, Julia. Julia's always here for me, helping me out, which is great. We're going to count and make sure I get 14 at the end. And honestly, this is just a design feature that I wanted for the Ruana. That's why we did single crochets. And then we jump immediately into the shallow half double, because I wanted that little edge at the bottom of the ribbing, like I showed you, to really show up. So let's count how many I have here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Perfect. So on your panel, we single crocheted all the way to the end. So you would have either 74 or 78, depending on what size you're making. So if I move those out of the way, it should give me a focus. Make sure I'm in focus here. And then you're going to chain 2. And this chain 2 counts as a half double crochet throughout this. All right, so chain 2. So that chain 2 is going to be my edge. I like to chain 2 and turn. I don't like to turn and chain 2, but that's just personal preference. The pattern will tell you to skip the first stitch here. So normally I would do a front post half double or shallow half double crochet right here. I would go like in through that one, but I'm going to skip this one. I'm going to come over here to this one. So yarn over your hook. I'm going to come over here. I'm literally just going underneath those 2 bars from the front to the back and come around, going underneath those 2 bars. It's really that easy. Yarn over, come back through, yarn over, draw through all of them. Okay, do it again. Yarn over. I'm going 1 stitch over. From the front to the back, I go underneath those, like that's the front leg and back leg. Go behind and then come from back to the front. It's the front leg and back leg on the other side of it. Yarn over. I'm going to take my hook back the same way. So I go underneath those 2, come back, go underneath these 2 and come back up. Yarn over, draw through all 3. I'm going to keep doing this all the way down. Right? Am I doing this right? Yeah. These are all just front post. Like I'm not starting off my ribbing yet. The reason I'm not starting my ribbing yet is this is the beginning of my ribbing. So when my ribbing starts, it's actually starting on these half double crochets, not on single crochets. I'm just working down the row here so that we're all together. And at the end, I will end with a half double crochet, right? Each stitch, half double crochet in the last stitch. And I'm going to count and make sure that I have 14 still. Remember that this chain 2 counts as a stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. All right, so I have 14. This next row is where we are going to have our ribbing actually begin. So we will chain 2, and that counts as a stitch, remember, for this ribbing portion. We are going to do a regular front post double crochet around the next half double. So this is my half double. It's right here. So I'm going to do a front post. So I'm going around it, and it's the same sort of style, only this time, instead of just going underneath those 2 bars like this and then coming out those 2 bars, which would be a shallow front post, I'm actually going around the post, the actual post of the stitch, okay? And this is a double crochet, so I yarn over my hook, go around my post, yarn over, do it again, and come back, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. So that was my first front one. Now I have to do 2 back ones. So yarn over, hold your fabric solid just like so, okay? This here, this is my post. That right there is my post. I'm going to go behind, going on the right side of my post, like the right edge, going through the right from behind, over top of the post, come out the left, yarn over, have your hook follow that path back, come out the left, over the top, back out the right. Pull up. I have 3 loops on my hook. Yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. I'll do that again. Yarn over. We're going to go around this post right there. Come from the back, over top, down to the left. Yarn over. Have your hook follow that same path back. 3 loops on my hook. Yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. Okay? Yarn over my hook. I'm going to do the next. I'm going to do the front. Go in through the front, around the back, out the left side. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. Okay? We're going to keep doing this all the way down. And just so that we are all clear, today's Lunch and Learn is going to be extended a little bit longer than the normal 30 minutes because this is a beast of a pattern. And I want to make sure you guys see how this is done. So we are going to work through all of this so that way you can walk away and complete this. You're going to do this all the way down to the last 4 stitches. And the last 4 stitches, you will do a back post double crochet in 2 of them. And then you will do a front post in 1. And then you will end with a half double crochet in the very edge. So I don't know if you can you kind of see on that how it looks like it's like this. It's starting to get the ribbing. All right. So working our way back, we'll chain 2. And I'm going to turn. This chain 2 counts as this stitch right here. It counts as a half double. Okay. This stitch here is a back post. So we start off with a back post double crochet to maintain our ribbing. And then we do a front post. And then we do a back post. So we're just continue doing this and working around the posts of the stitch. And this is fairly basic crochet ribbing with post stitches. So if this is something you want to play around with to do hats or cuffs or hems or, I mean, literally just about anything. I've created hats with this, like full on, even the body of the hat. And it looks really great to do these post stitches like this. It's a really wonderful stitch pattern, gives a lot of texture, but I will warn you, it eats up a lot of yarn. Anytime you're doing post stitches, it eats up a lot of yarn, sort of like if you were to do basket weave, stitch, or anything like that. Make sure you have enough yarn planned out for such a project. And remember, you will always end with a half double. You might be like, well, why am I ending with a half double when the stitches I did in here are doubles? That's because the stitches you did in here, as you're doing those post stitches, the height of the stitch is equal to a half double. And because your last stitch down here is not worked through a post, it's worked through a stitch, you want this stitch to be the same height as the others. So that's why you do a half double. That's also why we're starting off with the chain 2 and not a stacked double crochet, because we want them to be the same. Can you see how that's kind of looking out as they become a little bit more textured? So as you continue doing this back and forth, you get this really great rib. And on the right side, what you will notice is down here at the bottom, you get this cool little knit detail look at the bottom. Let me show you on the blue as well. It's easier to see. So you get this knit detail down here at the bottom, and I'll show you on the original sample as well. Show you all the different ways. But down here, get this really great detail. And so you could absolutely just start off with the post stitches, but I liked having that little detail at the bottom of my edge here, and then it jumps into that detail here. And then I didn't say this before, but I do have a vent in the 2 pieces. Like this is the Ruana vent, but that's the ribbing, and that's how that ribbing will look. Okay. All right. So as you get through the ribbing, like I mentioned, you then will continue on, and depending on what size you are making, you might have to adjust your stitch count. And if you're doing the larger size, it will, where is it? Actually over here, sorry. If you're doing the larger size, it walks you through how you're going to add extra stitches to make that happen. Once you do that, you're then going to continue on. So this first row past where you do your ribbing is a single crochet row on the right side. Then your first wrong side row on your body, you're working shallow stitches again, shallow front post half double crochet. And again, what that's going to do is it's going to push the tops of those stitches out towards the right side, and it gives you that really great detail look of what looks like a knit stitch, detailing the divide of the pieces. Can you see that? All right. Okay. So what I want to do here is I have this swatch worked up to where I just did single crochets across. So I would be ready to jump into what would be my first wrong side row. So that's where I'm going to begin from here. So it's just that I'm not working directly off of the ribbing. I've already worked past that so that way you could see, but let's jump in here. So I have worked what would be considered the single crochet row on the right side. Let's make this go away. Otherwise it tries to focus in on it. We'll try and make this focus as best I can. So I'm doing my first wrong side row. So I would chain 2 and turn, or turn and chain 2. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter either way. And this would be my shallow front post half double crochet in each stitch across. So I'm going to yarn over my hook. Remember, we do not go here in this first. We're going to come over here to this one, and I'm going to go underneath those 2 legs, come around and underneath those 2 legs. It's very similar to just a post stitch, but I'm just going under the legs, and I'm half double crochet. And this counts as 1, so that would be 2. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I forgot to tell you. On this, I have an extra stitch on either end, so I have to add an extra stitch. So let's see, that was a half double. So I'm going to put a half double right here as if this was the first stitch. All right, so that was like it's the first stitch. Now I'm going to jump in. So I think it would be right here, right? I think it's right here. And just work across with my shallow, is it half doubles or doubles? Yeah, half doubles. And work across here. All I did here is when I had made up this swatch, instead of having just 22 stitches, I think I have 24. So I just have an extra stitch on both ends to accommodate that But if you are following along with the pattern that, like the purchase pattern, you will notice that there is a stitch diagram that you could follow along with as well. So there's a stitch diagram that you could follow along with, and you could do your swatch based on how many stitches are on there. I'm just going to work all across here, and I'm just doing these little post stitches. And what it's doing is I go underneath these two legs and come out these two legs. Those two legs of that stitch are getting pushed to the right side. They're getting pushed over here. So that's what gives us that really great knit look on the right side of our fabric. It's just a really fun detail. Sometimes you can create these also working in the third loop. We do that quite a bit at Marley Bird Designs. So it's just another way to add some great texture to patterns. And I'm pretty sure I do this, and then I'm going to end with 2 half doubles, because you would end with 1 half double. Remember, I have an extra stitch here. I'm going to count mine just to make sure. So I'm going to ignore that one. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. And then that would be my extra stitch that I'm not counting. That's what I want. Okay. So that would be my row 1. My row 2, I'm going to do a stacked double crochet to start, and this on this next row is where I do my X stitch into the back. So I'm going to turn my work without doing any sort of a chain. You see those V's right there? Those are what were pushed to the front. And I'm do my stacked double crochet. So I go into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, just like a single crochet, right? There are people who like to just go in through that one bar. You can do that. I like to like pierce through the stitch, so it's not the one bar there. I take the bar in the back also. Yarn over, pull up a loop, and yarn over, draw through 2. I prefer that. I think that looks better. So that's a stacked double crochet. So you would start with that. Remember, I have an extra stitch, so I'm just going to put another double crochet there. Okay. And then here's where you would do an X stitch into the back. So the X stitch is a double crochet that we're going to work. If this is stitch A and this is stitch B, we're going to work a double crochet into stitch B first, and then we're going to come back behind the stitch we just did, and we're going to work into stitch A. So I have yarn over my hook, skip this one, go to the next one, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. Now I'm going to come back to that stitch right there, the one we skipped, and I'm going to go behind this. So I yarn over my hook, go behind that so that I can get to this stitch, and I just pierce right into it. Can you see that? Yarn over, pull up a loop. So I have 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. So what you notice is on top, my stitches are all in a line up here, but down here I have this X that happens. You see that? I have an X that happens. And it should be that the first stitch you did, the first double crochet, should be in front of the second. So down here, the first one I did is in front of the second. And that's important because when we do the X stitch again up here, what you'll notice is the second stitch is in front of the first. And that's to give us sort of like a chevron-y, like a pointy look. It's just a little detail that I have. So we do this again. Skip this one, go to the next, do a double crochet. Come back to the one we skipped. So I'm going to go behind. I put my hook like right onto it, and then I pierce into it. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. You see that? Here we go. Skip, go to the next, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, come to the next, and finish your X stitch. We're going to do this all the way across. This becomes very easy. You want to make sure these X stitches are not too tight. Okay, they should not be super tight, and at the same time, they should not be super loose. Like you should have these stitches, they should be the same size as the hook you are using. That's why we use different size hooks to establish gauge. You use the hook to regulate the size of your loops, so that way they are all consistent and uniform. I think the back stitch is easier than the front, but you'll see what I mean when we get to the front. And I just go all the way down, and I will end with a double crochet at the very end. Remember, I have an extra stitch down there, so I will end with 2 double crochets. All right, so this is where you would end with just a regular old double crochet. And then I have an extra stitch, so I'm going to put one right here. You guys see that? You good so far? Okay. The look you're going for here is so that the front stitch is in front of the back stitch. Okay. All right. So now we are moving on to row 4. And row 4, I'm sorry. Is it row 4? Is that where we are? Or row 3? Row 3. We're moving on to row 3. So we chain 1 and turn, or turn and chain 1. And this time we're going to single crochet all the way down, and it's on row 3 where we're going to decrease 1 stitch so that way we can get the correct stitch count. All right, so what you'll notice is you'll chain 1 and turn, and then you're supposed to single crochet and then do a single crochet 2 together. So I'm going to do, remember that's my extra stitch. So this is the one where as if you just started. Now I'm supposed to do single crochet 2 together. So I go into the first one, yarn over, pull up a loop. Go into the second one, yarn over, pull up a loop. So I have 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, draw through all 3. So now that just dropped me down 1 stitch, and that's what it's telling me to do. Okay. So I just want to do it just that one time, just so that I could get to 73 stitches if I was using the smallest. Okay. And now I'm just single crocheting in each stitch all the way to the end. So for me, because I started off with 24 stitches, I will now be down to 23. But if you were following along with the pattern, you would want to just start off with 22, because that would give you the correct count to be able to follow along with what would be called the back panel stitch diagram. If you're following along with the stitch diagram, it would be 22 stitches. Like I said, I had 24. And let's keep going here. Why am I feel like I'm doubting myself? Is that right? Make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Perfect. Okay. So now I move on to row 4. And row 4, row 5, row 4 and 5 are giving me a different stitch count. So you'll notice that in the pattern, it tells you like how many, what do I call them? It'll tell you how many repeats across. So it doesn't tell you how many stitches. And it's because we're working with like these fan sort of stitches. And these are big and bulky fans. I like them. I think they look great. We start off with the chain 1 and turn. This is going to be my extra stitch that I'm getting rid of. So now this is like you chain 1 and turn. So you will single crochet in the first 2. So 1 and 2. Now you're going to skip 1, 2 stitches. And in the third one, so we skip 1, we skip 2. In this one, we're going to put a whole lot of stitches. We're going to put 2 double crochets. So skip 1, skip 2. We put 2 double crochets. So there's 1. And here's 2. Now we put 1, 2, 3 trebles. So yarn over your hook twice. Go into the same stitch. Yarn over, pull up a loop. Yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. So see how that makes that stitch taller? We do that 3 times total. So that was 1 time. There's 2 times. There's 3 times. Now I do 2 double crochets. So I do 1 and 2. Now the reason I chose to use this particular stitch pattern, I liked how big it was, I think that when everything is said and done, it kind of gives some extra texture. I liked the look of it. Okay. I had somebody once ask me, they're like, why did you do so many? Why did you just do 5? It's because I like the way this looked. So that's why I chose this. Once you complete that, you're going to skip 2. So find where you just went into, skip 1, skip 2, go to the next one and put a single crochet. And now we're going to do it again. Skip 2. In the third one, do 2 doubles. Do 3 trebles. And then 2 doubles, all into the same stitch. Skip 2. In the third one, do a single. Okay, one more time for my little swatch here. Skip 2. In the next stitch, do 2 doubles. Then do 3 trebles. Did I do 3? Yeah, and now I do 2 doubles. 1 and 2. Skip 2, single crochet, and single crochet. So you would end with 2 single crochets. Remember, I have an extra stitch, so I'm going to put 1 more there. Okay. So this would be like, obviously, with more stitches across your panel. All right. Now, on this next row, as we come back, we're going to essentially kind of fill in spots around here. And then on row 6, as we come back, we're going to add in that extra stitch that we got rid of on row 3. Okay, so let's do row 5. Row 5 has us begin with a stacked double crochet. So I'm going to do my stacked double crochet here to begin with. All right. Now remember, I have an extra stitch, so I'm going to just do that extra stitch right here so it's out of the way. Okay. Now, you start off with a stacked double crochet, and then you do a double crochet. So remember, think of this as my extra stitch. Let's pretend that's the stacked. So then we do a double crochet. So right now you should just have 2 stitches there. And now we're going to do a chain 1 and then another double crochet into that stitch. So we're going to do a chain 1, yarn over your hook, go into that same stitch, which was the second stitch, and do another double crochet. And this double crochet should essentially take it to where it's the same height to where you're at the peak of essentially the shell you did. See how you're at the peak of the shell? So then you're going to skip 1, 2, 3 of the stitches on your shell, go to the 4th one, and do a single crochet. So it's the top of your shell. You're going to do a single. Now, just like we did a double here to get us to the top, we're going to do a double again to get us to the bottom. So we yarn over our hook, come down here to where our single crochet is, do a double into that single. Okay. So now essentially we've worked stitches up, worked there, and 1 here. Now we're going to chain 1, put another double crochet into that single crochet, chain 1, and then do that all again. Put a double into that same single crochet. That takes us up to the peak of the shell. Put a single. You're going to do a double down to the next single crochet. Chain 1, put another double crochet into that single. Chain 1, put another double crochet into that single. Takes you to the peak. Put a single into the peak. Finish with that double down to the single. Chain 1, put a double into that same single. Okay. And then you would end with a double crochet at the end. Remember, I have an extra stitch, so I'm going to put 1 into that extra stitch. Okay. See how they kind of look like they poke out a little bit on the wrong side? Okay. So on the right side, when I go to turn here, they look a little concave, but I can push them out. I love the texture with this. So even as is, I have so much rich texture on this Ruana and little details that really keep it very exciting and fascinating. Okay. You with me so far? All right. So this next row coming back, it's just a row of single crochets, but when we are working these single crochets and we get down here to this chain one space, we're going to end up putting 2 single crochets right there to get us back to our correct stitch count, right? So we got rid of 1 stitch at the start of row 3. Now we're going to put it back. So this is row 6. You chain 1 and turn and chain 1, doesn't matter. And then we're going to single crochet into the first 2 doubles, single crochet into the chain 1 space, single crochet into the next 3 stitches. So 1 in the double, 1 in this, 1 into the double, single crochet in the chain 1 space, single into the double, single into the chain 1 space, single into the double, single into the single, single into the double, single into the chain 1 space, single into the double, single into the chain 1 space, single into the double, single into the chain 1 space, single into the double. This is where we're going to put 2 singles into this chain 1 space to get us back to the stitch count we want. And then you would end with 2 singles into the top of the last 2 doubles. And remember, I have an extra stitch, so I'm going to do 1 more. Okay. All right, you with me so far? Okay, so essentially what we've done, we started off with this like line here of delineation, right? We did cross stitches, then we did these shells and kind of filled things in and kind of just give this really great texture. Now we're back to single crochets. So what we're going to do is to have like a mirror image. We're going to do X's up here again. You could do X stitches back again up here, but we're actually going to do X stitch fronts up here. So we're going to, instead of doing our second stitch in back of the first one, we're going to do it in front of the first one. And that's going to make our stitches look like we have one that goes this way and then one that goes this way. Like, can you see down here? This one looks like it goes this way. That one looks like it goes that way. So it gives more movement into the pattern. Like, this is the benefit, guys, of having the designer show you how to make something, because I'm not only just like, hey, here's what you're doing. I'm explaining why I chose these design features on this piece. So that way you can really understand and grasp why I changed the stitches. It wasn't just because willy-nilly, like there's distinct reasons I wanted different stitches to get different texture, to get different movement, to get different flow on the whole piece. And it's a lot more fun to work as well when you're working along, right? So on this next part here, we're going to be doing the X stitches, but this time we're going to put them in front instead of in back. So we start off with our stacked double crochet. And remember, I have an extra stitch here, so I'm just going to put my double right here. Okay. So you start off with your stacked double crochet, and now we're going to go into the X stitches. So just like before, you have A and B. You start off with putting your double into B, but now instead of going behind the one we just made, we're going to come in front. Now this is where it can feel like it gets tricky, because you're going to come in front and we just want to go through just that stitch, right? We don't want to have our yarn wrap around the post of the stitch we just created. So as you are doing this, you can kind of move that stitch down. And right here where my fingernails are, that's the top of the stitch that we want to go into. So I moved my post down of the stitch I just created, and then I can pop that in. Does that make sense? So I can yarn over, pull up a loop, and then finish my 2. So now the second stitch is in front of the first stitch. Can you see that? It can get a little tricky. Let's do it again. So skip 1, go to the second one, do our double. This is the stitch I want to go into. So I'm going to yarn over my hook, come over here. If I just go into it like this and then yarn over, see how my yarn over went around the post of the stitch I had created. I don't want that. I don't want that. So I want it to just go into that stitch and nothing else. I don't want it to go around the post of the stitch I created. There's the post of the stitch I created. I moved it completely out of the way so that way I could create my double crochet, and it's standalone. Can you see that? So they are two separate stitches. And by doing this, like I said, these stitches here, they kind of look like they kind of arrow out that way. These ones are going to look like they go this way. If you don't want to do this, if you want to keep them both back, you can do that. It's totally up to you. Whatever you find easier or more complementary to what you want to do, whatever you decide to do, just keep it consistent. That is the most important factor of all of it. So I'm going to get through this row here. So that way we can wrap up this repeat, and then you essentially would be on your way, because my thought is, now that you know how this whole stitch pattern works, you can read through the pattern and really get how everything is joined together and worked together, so that way you can create your own Ruana. And I can tell you, like, I have friends in the Minions group who've made several of these. They are time consuming. They take a while to make because it's a lot of crocheting. I mean, especially if you're making the larger size, you can think of it as like you're making 3 baby blankets, right? And so it does take time, but I'm telling you, it's so worth it when everything is said and done. It is one of my most comfortable pieces, and I get so many compliments on it. Whenever I wear it, people are like, "Oh my gosh, you made that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I did." So it's a lot of fun to make. When you get to the end, you would end with a double crochet. Remember, I have an extra stitch, so I'm going to do one more. Hopefully you can see how that looks. You have these stitches that look like they lean this way, these that look like they lean this way, and I'm looking at the wrong side. So as I go on to the next row, is just a row of single crochets again. I turn, and I'm literally just putting single crochets at the top of each of those stitches. And this is exactly where we began. We began at this part. I had just finished this row of single crochets. And so then you would move on to do your shallow front post half doubles. And then you would do this whole section again. So to me, breaking down this pattern to where you have this fun, 8-row stitch pattern it's really exciting, because you get to really memorize how these stitches look, and it gives you like these brief points where you can work on the project and you feel comfortable setting it down. You're like, oh, okay, I'm just going to get through this next section, and you can set it down. I'm going to get through the next section and then set it down. It also makes it nice because as you're working on both panels, you don't really have to keep track of the rows. You can just be like, oh, how many sections on each one have I done? And then you can match them up really, really well, right? So that's where we are. And then I would get this really great line right here after I do my row 1, right? My row 1 is my front post half doubles, and that's going to make the tops of those stitches forced down here. So I'll get that line right here. So you have both of your sections. See that? Okay. And then the only thing to finish it all up, obviously, when everything is done and you finished both of the front panels and the back panel, you then go on to the ribbing. So when you're doing the ribbing, you work the ribbing along the edge here. And you're going to single crochet and work shallow stitches. And it just works together really great. You stitch together the side seam. I kept a vent open on the side just so you can see that. And there you go. That's really how it goes. Joining your panels with right side facing each other. Skip 3 from the bottom. That's your vent. Join the yarn to the bottom side edge with the slip stitch. Chain 1, remove hook, thread through the first panel, and so you just keep them, line them up, goes along. It's pretty easy. Here we go. Put this up here. Here is my my side. Wow, it's really, really pink. So you can see, here's my side seam. Here is my vent right here. Here is my sleeve opening. It just has single crochets around here. You could add more there if you wanted to have even more detail. You absolutely, but this is just, it seriously is just one of my favorite pieces. And you can see my ribbing along my edge, right? I have that nice line there as well. So that way it matches my bottom edge and it just has a really nice clean finish. I could have done the same over here on this edge. I did not want to. I liked the way that it just looked like it kind of flowed into each other. And it looks good on. All right. All right, how are we feeling? How are we feeling? Do you think this is something you'd want to tackle? I think the look of having it with the Heather's yarn versus a solid really gives a different look for sure. The solid, you have a little bit more stitch definition, I think. But I will tell you, just working with this yarn itself, it's very nice and comfortable. Like I said, if you wanted to make the turkey trot pocket shawl, this would be great for the pocket shawl. You could test it out and see if that's what you like, and you can move that over to the Ruana. Totally up to you. Like I said, the pattern is available on Etsy, on Shopify, and on Ravelry. Choose whichever one you want to go get it, or you could follow along for free. Absolutely up to you. All right, guys. So I'm excited to see your progress on all of this, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. Now, I did not do a Mondays with Marley share on today's show, and that's because I hadn't picked one yet. So let me go over to Instagram, and I am just going to pick one as we are live here. So give me a second. Let's see, hashtag Mondays with Marley. I'm going to click it. And let's see who shared. I'm just going to randomly select one. And let's see here. Share this tab. Are you guys able to see this? Maybe. Oops, cancel. Come on. There we are. Can you guys see that? All right. So let's just scroll and... oh man, so many lovely faces. Look at these lovely faces. Oh, you know what? I don't know who this is. We're going to pick this. Oh, hello, my friends. How are you? So LYENG111, you are today's lucky winner of Mondays with Marley. Hashtag, I can't remember. I think you get a free pattern. I'm pretty sure you get a free pattern. So I'm going to say, winner, oops, if I could type, winner, chicken dinner. Send us an email to claim your prize. Contact at marleybird.com. All right, guys. There we go. So that is the lucky winner today of the free pattern for Mondays with Marley. Don't forget, if you do a quick screen click. Is it happening? It's telling me it lost connection, so I don't know if it's working. If you do take your phone and do a quick picture of, hey, I'll just do, hey, hi, how are you guys? Take your picture, share with us on social media, use hashtag Mondays with Marley. Remember, you doing that not only enters you for a chance to win a free prize, but it helps me with advertising. So as you share that on your own Facebook page, in other groups, on your Instagram account, on your Blue Sky, on your threads, as you are sharing with that, or sharing that really helps me, because people are like, what is this? What is Mondays with Marley? And so you could always send them the link and tell them they should come and join the fun. All right, the last thing I want to mention, somebody asked what the name of this pattern is. I don't know the name of it. I know that this was the extra free pattern that was given in the Turkey Trot 2024 this year. And I don't remember what she called it. I need to take my pictures of myself in it. So I put it on today so that way I can remember to do that. But it's super cute. I'll just step back and show you guys a little bit. So it's a cropped piece. I love these because I'm wearing like a jersey dress and it just fits perfectly. I'll show you the back. But this pattern, no, this is not the Amaya. This is from the 2024 Turkey Trot. So this last year, she named it something with Gilmore Girls, and I just don't remember the name. But this was included in the free pattern for the Turkey Trot 2024 for the crocheters. For the knitters, that pattern came in, and Taylor is coming down today so that I could take pictures of her in it, so I could put that pattern in there. But yeah, that's what I'm wearing. I'm hoping that I can get pictures of this and then we can get it put up so that you guys have a chance to purchase it as well. I just don't know the name of it. All right. So don't forget, I will try and put together the town hall meeting this week so that you guys can find out more about the Joanne bankruptcy. What does it mean for me? What does it mean for you? Where are the places that I recommend checking out yarn? I mean, I know not everybody wants to buy yarn online, but I mean, it might be that that's what we have to do. So I want to recommend some places for all of you. Thank you so much to Hirschner's for being the sponsor of this week's Lunch and Learn for the Creekside Ruana. And that's going to be it for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed this show. Don't forget to check out the Knit Happy Summit, knithappysummit.com/Marley. That will take you to where you need to go to sign up for free. And you absolutely could sign up and get the VIP upgrade if you want. Oh, the Miss Patty Crochet Pullover. Thank you, Julia. The Miss Patty Crochet Pullover. It's really nice. It's very comfortable. I highly recommend. All right, that's it for me, everybody. I will see you at the town hall. Other than that, I'll see you next Monday. Bye.
Live your life within the moment, and don't go wait until the morning. You never know when it is over. All that I know is we'll get older. So let us dance this night away.